Denzel is another one that doesn't disappoint. So we got another good action film here, another great action film, as a matter of fact. So, according to the AI mode Google synopsis, Robert McCall is a former Marine and DIA operative, Defense Intelligence Agency, who faked his own death to live a quiet life working at a Home Mart hardware store in Boston. His peaceful new life is disrupted when he befriends a teenage girl named Alina, who was a victim of brutal Russian mobsters. After she is severely beaten by her pimp, Slavy, McCall's sense of justice is reawakened. He attempts to buy her freedom, but when the offer is refused, he uses his formidable combat skills to kill Slavy and his men. This action brings him into conflict with the powerful Russian kingpin Vladimir Pushkin, who sends his ruthless enforcer Teddy Renson to hunt McCall down. As McCall takes on Pushkin's entire criminal enterprise, he also helps other people in need by using his old skills to deliver justice when the system fails them. The climax of the film takes place at the Home Mart store where McCall uses various items as improvised weapons to defeat Teddy and his men. Now, spoiler alert to those of you who haven't seen it. I'm sure most of you have seen it, especially if you're an action film fan and or a fan of Denzel. The film concludes with McCall traveling to Moscow to kill Pushkin and then returning to Boston, where he posts an online ad offering his services as the Equalizer to those who have nowhere else to turn. Now, the budget on this film was 73 million, and the box office was, I believe it was 190 million, 192 million. Yes. That's actually kind of a lot less than what I expected it to be. Like when I first heard of this movie or came across it, action thriller film with Denzel in it, you would, you know, maybe I'm just ignorant to the fact, but I would think that it would be closer to like 400 million. But again, as I've always said, the box office and budget numbers usually don't have anything to do with my personal opinion of the movie. Overall, I would say that this movie is a good 8.5 or 9 out of 10. So Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 61. Internet Movie Database and Prime Video both gave it 73. Google users gave it 78. And Common Sense Media gave it 60. Okay, so I agree much more with Google users. It's way closer to my rating. Now, how does Common Sense Media break it down? Based on the 1980s TV series that starred Edward Woodward, this film centers on Robert McCall, a retired secret agent who's trying to live a normal life in Boston, working at the Home Depot like Home Mart. When he meets young Nova, Chloe Grace Moretz, who's being coerced into sex work by Russian gangsters, Robert decides to take action. Effortlessly killing 5 men, he creates trouble for a much larger criminal network and a dangerous fixer called Teddy. Teddy is called in. Meanwhile, Robert helps out some of his co-workers with other problems as the gangsters realize that they can use his friends to get to him. Everything builds to a showdown at the store. Can Robert save the day? Now, parents gave it an 80. The kids gave it an 80. Again, much better ratings than Prime and IMDb. Now, is it any good? Here's what they say on that. The film may not particularly be deep or profound, but it's a well-made, if violent, action thriller. Well, it's definitely violent. It doesn't take it to the same levels as something like a John Wick, but I mean, it's there. It's there. The Equalizer reteams director Antoine Fuqua or Fuqua, I'm guessing Fuqua, and star Denzel Washington, of course. Their previous collaboration, Training Day, won Washington a Best Actor Oscar. They seem to bring out the best in each other. Fuka spends luxurious sequences listening to his characters talk to one another, getting to know what makes them tick. Sokka's character has a history and is shown to be smart rather than just evil, while Nova's resilience and dreams of becoming a professional musician are heartwarming. But Fuka does best when he focuses on Robert, who's tough and nearly invincible, like a superhero, while still having doubts and personal demons that are endlessly fascinating. It's too bad that the film's biggest strength, Washington that is, overpowers the rest of the movie. Supporting characters like Nova and Robert's lovable co-worker, Ralphie, never learn to stand on their own. At every turn, Robert is there to save the day. He's a compelling hero, but it's to the detriment of everyone else's character arc. So, this is another movie where I would say I kind of somewhat regret not seeing this in theaters when it was there. But like I said, I'm about the last person in the world to catch up on a lot of these movies. Now, granted, I did see this movie before. I actually watched it for the first time a couple years ago, I believe it was. It was either last year or a couple years ago, and I had just rewatched it. I should have given a review on it before, but hey, better late than never. I did end up watching all three movies. They all were pretty good. The third one was the only one I actually saw in theaters. But I mean, if they did a replay of a movie like this or like some of the other action films I talked about, I would go see it in theaters. I really would. So, this film, like many action films, is kind of long. It's 2 hours and 12 minutes, but if you take away the end credits, it's closer to like 2 hours and 5 minutes, say. But I mean, nevertheless, I would say that this is definitely one of his greatest pieces right here for Denzel. I'm actually in the process right now of watching the TV show with Latifah. As soon as I finish that, I'll give a review on that as well. But I'm going to rewatch the second and third movies and I'm going to give my reviews of them. So, like I said, this movie I give an 8.5 or 9 out of 10. So, like I said, I imagine all the Denzel slash action fans have already seen this. But just in case of those of you who didn't see it, well, as of the recording of this video, this is the last day they're showing it on Netflix, but according to Google, it says it is still there. So I don't know if you're watching this video and you haven't seen it, I'd suggest checking Netflix to see if it's there. If not, I suggest renting it or whatever. But the third movie I think is on Hulu. So that's pretty much all I have to say for this. And oh, by the way, they did have a good cast to it. So of course we already know the main star character. Chloe Grace Moretz played Terry, aka Alina. Melissa Leo played Susan Plummer. Bill Pullman played Brian Plummer. Haley Bennett played Mandy, and she was one of the sex workers. And you have David Harbour playing Masters. So again, great movie, great cast. I suggest go checking it out. I got the other movies coming up soon.